also.
Yes.
We can bludgeon songs to death.
We'll grind them out.
And we do. We grind on them and grind
play
on
two
them and
measures
get
for
them a little
an
bit
hour.
tighter. We'll go over the same vocal harmony 20 or 30 times until we can't do it anymore.
We do spend more time on the singing the vocal parts than we do on just playing. You know, playing, it seems like a lot of the material we choose is not as, you know, complex musically as some things, but vocally, like Alan was talking about, things like the Four Freshmen and things like that, where vocally you have to work them out, especially when, you know, I don't think I'm a world-class singer or anything like that, so I have to find my part and repeat it until it's in there.
Yeah, if you have two singers, it's pretty easy to find parts that are harmony. But when you have three singers, somebody has to know a little bit of music theory, and Al does, and he counts up the intervals on his bass, and we actually figure out, you know, what works for every measure of every song. You know, it's a little bit more intensive, and you know, I've been in bands all my life, but I believe that we spend more time getting the vocals right than I ever have before in my history.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about these keyboard players. I'm out of sync right now as far as there was a plethora of those guys in Sacramento at one time. Really, really good players.
Oh yeah.
Dave Fonz, Delbert Bump.
Oh, Delbert Bump. Oh my God.
Even
Don't get me started.
Piper.
Yeah, John Piper.
Jimmy. I mean, there were a ton of these guys. Now, of course, there's a major difference in the fact that you can get a keyboard that's about this big and pretty much sounds like a B3 Hammond. It doesn't quite, but it's so close.
It's not worth carrying a Hammond.
It's not
around.
worth carrying a Hammond organ. Exactly, with two Leslies, exactly. But
I think Piper used to play with he had the Hammonds that were just keyboards, but he did have a couple of Leslies that he traveled
Oh
with.
yeah, he would still have the lessons. And back when he was a kid, this one guy that we used to play with, Skip and I used to play with, and actually one time they played at the Memorial Auditorium, Drisley and the Dead, and Al's band, The Fugitives, played, and then Sonny and Cher played, and Piper was there with his black Hammond B3, looked like a coffin, and black matching Leslie's, and he must have been about 18 or 19 years old. The lead singer of that band, Drew Salee, would have a patch over one eye, and he would actually come up out of a coffin, and they just did the most amazing.
they were basically like a
yeah.
James Brown band. This guy was really was something.
But why
else.
don't you tell the story of Sonny Bono
Oh,
and that? Oh, go ahead. We can always edit it out if we don't.
At one time, we had not an inside track. We had a local manager that was able to get us some gigs opening up for whenever. Many times when a famous band would come through, they need some local act. So the Fugitives got a few calls for that. I don't remember. We must have gotten paid. It could have been a hell of a lot, but we would open for the band and blah, blah, blah. And so this agent said, well, I've got a job for you. You're going to open for Sonny and Cher. And I thought, wow, that's fantastic. You know, at the time they had like 4 songs on the charts. I Got You, Babe, and all the rest of these tunes. I said, that'll be just great. You know, we'll do our thing, they'll do theirs. This will be really cool. Well, I get to the auditorium for a sound check, and there's Sonny and his bodyguard, and Cher with her bodyguard. And the bodyguard comes to me and says, Sonny wants to talk to you. I said, okay. He says, you going to back us up? I said, I hadn't heard about it, but okay. Now, bear in mind, we were kids. We were not tremendous musicians. We know enough guys that could have cut that gig easily. Bob Walden and guys like, probably not Fonz, but Wayne Bennett could have done it even.
Delbert Bump could have really.
Delbert could have smoked
He could
it.
have smoked it.
But that was way beyond our pay grade. We didn't know what we were doing. So I said, yeah. He said, do you know our songs? He said, everybody knows our songs. I said, oh, I do know them, but I don't really know the chords. He says, well, here's how it works. Come over here. And he sits at a piano backstage and he starts playing. Okay, here's how this thing goes. He says, you're going to play 16 bars like this. I said, what key is that? He says, I don't know. Look at my fingers. How am I supposed to know? This is this. And he says, then he says, it's exactly 8 bars. No more, no less. Because Cher tells a joke. And at the end of 8 bars, I want a drum beat, and then we're going to start playing this song. You guys all know this song, yeah? And I'm looking at Jim Phillips is saying, "Oh yeah, we know it, no problem." And I don't know. You ever heard it? I never. Okay, but we're not going to play the whole song. On the record, we do this, but on here, we're not going to do the 2 bridges. We're going to do 1 bridge, then we're going to. Went on like this for a 45-minute show. He explained. And before you know it, there were the Fugitives out there backing up Sonny and Cher, and we didn't know any of his music. And I got, especially for the gig, I got a couple Altec Lansing A7s, these giant boxes with a, I don't know, Fender dual Showman head, you know, it could rattle the foundations. If only I knew what I was playing, you know. So we're fumbling through these songs. It's atrocious. It's horribly embarrassing.
I was there, and they sounded great. I was there. I go, wow,
And Sonny,
they're so good.
Sonny's dancing around, you know, doing this thing. They had the vests on. They were in the prime, man. And Sonny, he's dancing around, and Cher is singing or something. He comes back to me, and he's, "Hey, kid," he's, "what the F's wrong with you? Turn that thing up. I can't hear it." Okay, I'll play my wrong notes loud. Anyway, they cut their show short by about 15 minutes. And Charlie Green, the bodyguard, came up to me and says, "Sonny's pissed. If he ever sees you on the street, watch out." And I'm saying to myself, I can handle him. Not you, but I can handle him. And that was my story with Sonny and Cher. But the Fugitives, we had a nice little set at the beginning, and then we just stayed on stage.
And let me tell you, back in those days, the Fugitives backed up the Rolling Stones
Yeah.
and the Kinks
Oh, yeah.
and who else?
Old Brummels.
Oh, Brummels, a lot of different people.
Yeah.
So and
we were there, that's all, because we were the opening band locally.
But
here.
you guys were very, very good. And there was a period of time where, as they evolved, that they went through the Beach Boys, and then by the time they were in the point where the Beatles were out, they had 2 guys in there that could really sing. And back to you, Skip.
I got nothing. I was a Ute.
Skip, the question to you is, please describe the perfect gig for you.
Well, there's 2 ways to think about a gig. One is who you're playing with, and this has been a really great last 3 years we've been playing together, because I really enjoy singing on a way that I like the way we rehearse things. But the perfect gig, as far as like a venue, would just be a very nice venue that already has equipment, and we get to show up and play, and then set your sticks down,
Leave.
and head back. That would be my perfect gig, having somebody else haul equipment and playing, you know, for a lot of people that appreciate what you do. That's, you know, the big thing is having people there that appreciate what you've put into it. I know most people don't think about that, but usually when you see things that just seem natural, it's a lot of times it's very well rehearsed, that what appears natural just really isn't. I guess that's the showbiz part of it.
Skip, we've ignored you a little bit, so I'm going to start with you on this next question and work our way back. Why do you keep playing with these guys?
Because they're funny. I mean, if you've hung out with these guys, especially if you get a couple of beers, they're a hoot. And all the stories they tell, which I've heard several times.
I know you're I'm sorry.
Poor guy.
I don't know. I like listening to them. I get to learn things, and you know, it's not really a democratic process, but it's organic, and it just kind of works. And we choose a song. They're generally speaking easy to get along with, and it's there's really not much drama to speak of at all, which, you know, anybody that's played in bands for many, many, many years knows that you have drama whether you're 4 guys in a garage or 4 guys on tour. So when you don't have that, it's a blessing.
I have worked in many bars and nightclubs, and I witnessed what you're describing. I've seen bands have meltdowns on stage and have a fight, and then go to the next song.
Yep. Yes, and that's we just don't have much of that, you know. I mean, it's because we talk about things while we're rehearsing them, and just kind of smooth things as we go, which is it's a pleasant way to spend an evening, whether it's at a gig or at a rehearsal.
Gene, same question for you. Why do you continue to play with
Oh, I
Al
love
and
these
Skip?
guys. Well, okay, so let me tell you what happened to me was, you know, I had some high intensity bands over the, you know, my life that did have drama, that where people were, you know, way high strung and very, very good. So I always felt like, oh gosh, I'm hanging on by my fingernails in this ensemble. And one point at around 1992 or 3, I was playing in this band called Powerglide, and I was working in the real estate business, and I said to myself, I just want to play very low keyed. And we were playing out at a fundraiser for Robert Wygant, and that was at the
Ferrari Ranch.
yeah, Paul and Alice Ferrari's ranch out at the edge of town. And a whole bunch of musicians were there, and sound equipment and everything. And the lady that did Detour, what was her name? Ola Louise. And, you know, some guys that were from the Nevada circuit. And Skip and Ron and I, Ron Berger was a real estate broker around here. He was kind of a novice bass player at the time. And I hadn't really ever played in a band with Skip before, but he happened to be the drummer of the day. He was the drummer of the day. And once we played, on that day, there were, you know, like we backed up Ola Louise, and we backed up this pedal steel player. And
Sue Thompson?
No, Sue Thompson was that was another era. We backed up Sue Thompson, but anyway, from that day forward, Skip and Ron and I played together for many years, and sort of like Al and I, when we got together, I'd been in this band called the Yukon Daily. It peaked. One guy went in the service. Al came, went back on the road. We played up at Kings Beach Bowl and played, you know, different concerts and things like that. Harvey Mandel, Magic Sam, you know, different people that we played for. And before that, the Yukon Daily in those days had backed up, you know, Moby Grape, Buffalo Springfield, H.P. Lovecraft, the Trogs, Quicksilver, you know, all these different bands. And by the time, you know, Al and I got together, and then when it got to a point where Ron was no longer available, Al and Skip and I got together, it's so comfortable, it's like home. And we just love to sing, and we love to sing together, and it's really fun. Really
You
fun.
can go hear people play, especially at the local level. You hear a lot of guitar, bass, drums, and they have a guy that sings or a gal that sings. Somebody in the band usually tries to sing backup, and we just try to do it the other way around. I mean, because most people, they like bands because of the sound of the vocals. I think that's what draws regular people in. You know, they don't really care that you're a great guitar player or a great drummer or a great bass player. If you have good vocals, regular people are probably going to enjoy it. And so that's kind of the focus we try to deliver on, is the vocal part of it. And our little history lesson that you guys do between all the songs.
Oh, God.
You hear a lot of people mention that, you know, we're going to play a song, and these two, they know the history of all this stuff, you know, so
We talk a lot
I've
about,
had to learn it, so I know which song we're going to play next.
we talk a lot about the Brill Building, you know, which is in New York City, and a lot of the songwriting was there. Actually, Sonny Bono was there, Neil Diamond was there, and there's still one guy that still has his office there. Who's that?
Paul Simon.
Paul Simon. And many of the songs that you hear from even the British bands like Doo Wah Diddy and all different kinds of things came from there. There was one guy there that wrote like Twist and Shout, Hang On Sloopy, Brown Eyed Girl, Here Comes the Night, all of that stuff, all out of that one place. So we like to do that kind of stuff.
It was kind of cool because just the concept of going to work, like people come here, they go to work in an office, and well, some do, I guess. And
Well, this is a real estate office.
Some people work.
is, you go and you got your stuff to do. You're gonna go through your files. You're gonna make some phone calls. You make some contacts. The thought of a guy, locking up his apartment, getting a cab, and go down to Lower Manhattan, to the Brill Building, and going up to his little office, and sitting down with a piano and some manuscript, and knocking out ditties, like a business.
Will you still love me tomorrow?
Yeah, like these guys, these
Under the Boardwalk.
well, famous authors that knock out a ton of work. They're disciplined about it, and they go in and they work every day at writing the book, and they don't look for inspiration. They just get there and do it, and that's what I always thought the Brill Building was pretty interesting. You had to be careful, apparently, playing your tunes because there were ears. Oh, it happened all the time. And people would hear a jingle that you were playing here, and next thing you know, it was a Neil Sedaka record. Or, that's a bad example because he's tremendous, but that kind of stuff happened. Sure. It was very competitive. There were producers, directors, and a studio in there, wasn't there? It must have been. And they would knock these things out, make demos of them, and sell them to artists, just like a job.
Yeah, I can appreciate that as part of my job is showing up every day and getting
Gotta do something.
And I have to write something every day. And it's not musical, but I do appreciate the discipline
creativity,
you're
right?
describing. That you just have to.
You can't wait for inspiration. You just have to grind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes when you think you're grinding it, that can be some of your best stuff too. Really, I think.
We learn these songs, and honestly, I use the expression, it's not in a pejorative way at all, but we bludgeon these songs measure by measure. So it's not all sing and, okay, I got a part, okay, I'm good, let's go, let's play some music. No, that's not how we do it.
We don't jam for 2 hours.
We don't jam for 2 hours. How many jam sessions you usually go to in a year?
Lately, none.
0.
Me too.
I don't go to jam sessions.
But I've been doing a lot of.
Oh, I've been to where a club owner will say, we're having a jam session on Sunday. It's a great way to get free music in his club, The band will set up the equipment and all these people come in and
Just pound the crap out of your
ridiculous.
stuff.
That reminds me, I was going to just throw one quick thing in. Back in the day, Gina and I played a few nightclubs together. Matter of fact, quite a few. And an interesting observation of the way things are now and the things were then, at the end of the night, you would just take your guitar and lay it up against your amp, turn everything off, and go home.
Yeah.
You didn't lock anything up or take nothing. And it would be there when you came back the next night. It was a day. Nobody would fiddle around. The bartender would not let people steal your equipment or play with it or touch it. It was kind of a tradition. I was at the trophy room. I just took the bass off, but in fact, you put the strap up over the top of the things so the bass hung like that, and go home for the night. It was there the next night.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Unheard of today.
Not anymore.
Even at an honest bar.
Anything will be stolen.
Yeah. Skip, I want to go back to something that you said. The sound of vocals draws regular people in. And why do you think that is?
Well, I just think that's the way humans are hardwired, I think. I mean, vocals there's not a whole lot better than hearing like a giant choir. Like the Mormon Tabernacle, right? I mean, I don't care what your beliefs are, when you hear, 100 voices singing like that, it's pretty impressive. And I think people understand they understand how difficult it is to make songs sound away vocally. I don't think most people have that kind of same feeling or same affinity for instruments.
Sure.
I think when they see a Stevie Ray Vaughan, they go, "Oh, that must be hard." But when they hear vocals, I think you don't have to be an aficionado or an expert to know when you like good vocals, when you have 3 people singing 3 parts. I think people just, you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be educated, you just hear it, you know it. Sometimes you have to have some sort of training, or you played guitar or you played piano or something to appreciate good musicians. But I don't think you have to have that appreciation to like good vocals. I think people hear it and they know it if they like it.
Yeah, and perhaps it's the one instrument that we all share.
Everybody can sing. And I think most people could probably sing everybody says, "Oh, I can't sing well." I think it's because they just don't let it rip. Because most people have, if they just let it rip, like singing in the shower, it's a kind of a catchphrase kind of. But when people are just letting it go, I think people can sing well if they just, whenever you hear somebody singing, they're trying to hold back. You can't sing that way. And the other part about singing is it's a recipe of sorts. I think Alan sings well. I think Gene sings well. I think I sing well. Do any of us sing great? Probably not. But when you hear certain voices sing together, the sum is greater than the parts. I think that's just what happens with vocals. And sometimes, certain voices. I mean, the Beach Boys, right? I mean, those voices worked. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I mean, listen to Neil Young. I mean, he's obviously has a voice that is instantly recognizable. That's not a world-class vocalist.
Right.
But, listen to him when he's singing with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You have to listen to pick it out. It melds. It works.